Greetings and welcome again back to Uvukamteshi. That's where we deal a lot of labor-related problems. Uvukamteshi is the only one, so I'm expecting you to click on that button and subscribe. Today's episode will be dealing with some recaps here. You'll remember very well, Uti, we had one of our complainants and we experienced some unfair labor practices that were actually perpetrated against this guy. Today on our studio we have Mr. Teboho Modise. He is the founder and the owner and the director of a security company, Ikobi Security. He's also the national chairperson of an organization called Our National Community Safety Association, which is a conglomeration of different security companies fighting against crime. Mind you, you'll ask me why did we call him a student namhlanje? This because we wanted to hear his side of the story as the owner of a security company, where due processes followed. And as usual, we have expected to go see Thato, Lentsoe, also shoge manje ukuthi now if it's like this, gentlemen, welcome on our show. Now it is according to my analysis and listening, you know, the guy's been compromised, the labor laws that have been flouted against this poor soul. You know, I was also like in tears, you know, on that previous program. What could you tell us? What due processes followed in this thing?
Yeah, no, I understand, man. It's so painful. But I feel that the way by azamba be fair enough. Okay, what into it was not right. Change some shift without consulting office. Because remember, with security is very dangerous. If sends a roster it's bonus uti and lang a linge ungene bani.
According to my understanding, the complainant Uti Bakulumisa, and then they went to management or the supervisors, and then the supervisors they said to them, guys, I'm banning Kotlisa. So management managers go ahead to say, guys, you can talk with Sana. You know, amongst yourselves. What is it?
Yeah, no, it doesn't work like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. If the office burns a roster, even you can report into a supervisor. You make a supervisor just to be aware of the situation age. Even city, call a funding corner. And I report the supervisor, but finally report in the office where when the roster corner. Uguti says uguti ubani uchenjisa nobani. Because let's say that senior mtamgonza uguti uyalimala lo muntu longafananga ngene emsebenzini. Uyabona izoniga company ubunzima. Kodwa sazi lo muntu bheka semsebenzini.
So in essence you are saying the supervisors were wrong to allow them to say ambane blockesa.
No,
it's not allowed.
No, it's not allowed.
Okay.
It's not allowed. Bufanele if avumelana nabo bavumelana babathathu kanjalo. Bufanele ay report in the office. Because ufanele office insazi ukuthi lento enjalo iyayenzakala. Uyabona ukuthi agreement yabo buyitrade. Yeah, it was wrong nje at all. Uyabona ukuthi bayenza kanjalo. And after that, if babakhulumisene kanjalo, i-supervisor ngokwayo so sibayireportele. Bufanele hambe yo reporter back to the office. But now
so this is the arrangement.
Yes. Now at the same time, now complainant bufanele naye is straight to the office. That's why but ngisuzo bathi impilo solomsila ngokulayezela. Yeah, ngoba manje mawuthumela omunye umuntu uthambe ukwenzela into enje anyika yenze the way wena fanele wenze ngakhona. Uyabona, that's why manje in trouble manje. Uyabona, and manje trouble le kahle mina ngibona ukuthi azange ube fair ngoba ufanele the person la obeka naye bebavumelana naye ngoba uchachiwe because ngalanga lelo bungafanelanga ngene emsebenzini. Uyabona, at the same time if the supervisor bekayenza umsebenzi wakhe kahle ngabe ukholela ukubona ukuthi kunabantu if asithi supervisor beyangazi ke but bofanele ukuthi makafika emsebenzini abone ukuthi kungena umuntu onje ongafanele ngene emsebenzini bofanele umuntu lo esenta ambuza ukuthi ungene kanjani ngoba sidlanga lakho ngoba supervisor knows ukuthi abana bangena emsebenzini Now, if the supervisors are aware, now what you find a charge now?
All right. That's similar. Mr. Modise. Story. No tembe colleagues in the same space, okay? To say, not apparently, but that is what actually occurred. Tembe was having a bereavement in a family. So Tembe goes to Story to say, because of the for a car. And then it goes to the supervisors. The supervisors are saying, alright, fine, kulmisanani, stuff like that. Then he does like that, he signs an OB. Shift that Tembe. Now what happens is that now when Story's time comes for him to be off, he asks the very same favor to be returned to him. And then Tembe dies. But the thing is now, Story is found guilty. What's that?
This thing should be somewhere is personal. Because if I don't see anything wrong. But in the wrong, mom can be a figure office, if the office, but sometimes the security guys they do that. Most of the time they do that. But the Abalandelu Mkomo is security. As far as report in the office to know that anya ube khona emsebenzini uzabongekho uzabovelwe sifo mhlawumbe une commitment abantwana yabona bofanele le ifike office because ukuvumelana kwenu is a danger.
Inkinga yekuphi bayavumelana, then the resolve comes in to say let's go to the supervisors, which is part of the office, and which is management. And then the management says to them, which is the office, the supervisors, to say, no guys, I'm a no kulmisan. No, meaning the supervisors were supposed to go to the executive office and say, guys, this is an arrangement between these two employees, which of course they did not do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That now supervisor, wrong. Yeah, now supervisor wrong. According to the procedure, if you need to go and report back. And office is far.
To say this is the situation.
Yeah, the situation. The supervisor after you take that to the office.
Okay.
Yes.
Now let's go fast forward. Now the guy has been accused. Now he's called for a hearing. At first, he's actually removed from his actual post to another post. Okay. I can't get a hearing now. Okay. Now inside that hearing, he's been actually being told by his former colleagues to say, hey, when we are humble, we're going. And then when that actual hearing is called, and then the guy, the management, which is the supervisor, these two supervisors, that are called Manamela and Nomawela, and then they kind of appoint a representative who's going to represent the complainant. And then the complainant is never told of this, because I believe if Thato I'm wrong, until when that representative is actually called, wasn't he supposed talk to the complainant first and get the side of the story, so that now when he's going to be representing him there, he knows the story. But according to what actually happened was that now there was no consultation of this legal representative representing the complainant.
Yeah, definitely. So the employee was supposed to be afforded a reasonable time after getting the charge sheet, and then can then actually appoint a legal representative, consult with that person, receive the charge sheet, and then prepare a case. You can't just appear on that day, and then all of a sudden they give you somebody you don't know, does not know anything about the case. That's a problem. That is a big problem.
It is one. Okay. Now, what's so interesting here is that now I am sensing kind of a tribalistic kind of occurrence here. The legal representative representing the claimant is of the same language with the two supervisors, that's Mawel and Manamela. And they started conversing, communicating in the vendor language. And when the complainant actually asked, can anybody explain to me, guys, what's cooking on here? And then, can we just listen to this one, guys? I just want to recap that one, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Lo mmeli into eyenzeka ke bakhuluma ulimi engingaluzwanga kwangiyona English
lelimi abalukhulumayo ngoba akusisilungu mhlawumbe besila kusitsonga mhlawumbe lishangane mhlawumbe o isivenda o yini
yabo isivenda ba
isivenda la awuzwa lutho ukuthi
ayinhlabo lapha ngizwanga lutho
mase kwenzakalani ke lapha sivale lapha
bathe sebeqedile ukukhuluma mangithi ngiyabuza ukuthi ngicela ningitshele ukuthi benikhuluma nithini ukuze ngikuzwe nami nikhulumayo ngami ukuze manje ngibuza ngikwazi ukuphendula into engiyizwile bathi hayi akukho okuningi sisazokhuluma wena la sikubhukhela internal affairs sikubhukhela hearing wena unecala yalazi icala la wena wakho uthi sayina la
wasayina
ngokungisabisa ngoba ngingazi
intimidation
ukuthi kahle kahle kwenzakalani.
Surely from that clip you could realize that now the guy they communicated in a language that he does not understand, and at the end of the day what actually happens, he was made to sign.
Yeah, I would say that it was wrong from the whole thing, this thing of charging him and everything. Because remember, if I call somebody to stand on my behalf, I must understand what is he saying on my behalf, and I'm the one who must go and look for somebody going to stand if I'm going for hearing. You can't just at the company, like SM owning company, bringing somebody to stand against the company. That one will never happen. It's a conflict of interest.
It is.
Yeah, it's a conflict of interest. I can't do when you are doing something wrong. Now I'm bringing somebody to stand on your behalf. You are the one who must bring the representative for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, to stand on behalf of you, and you must consult that person and talk to him and to know what is the merits of this case. It must be like that. But for me, I feel that it was unfair for him
to do like that.
Yeah, it was unfair.
You know, another interesting fact here. It is the disappearance of the OB, the occurrence book. Before we just go to that nitty-gritties of that matter, how important is the OB in the modus operandi of the security industry? Just give us, how important is that book? And because it was as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know.
If I can tell you, the OP is like it's your life.
Yes.
Yeah, it's your life. The OP is like if you lost the OP, like you lost your life. Let me put it that way. How can you lose like something like what they call the diary?
It's like a diary.
Yeah, if you lose your diary, it means you lose your life. Now you don't know the direction where to go. Now the OP is very important. I don't know, can I say very, very important? Because the OP is the one that tells you, because let's say that tomorrow somebody is claiming that I raped him, and I say now I was at work. Now where I'm going to transfer? Because the OP is important, that I must go. That's why I even can see in my company, I've got the shelf. Even when I started the company, I'm still having that OP, even today. That tomorrow if somebody can come and say that day I was at work, I can go and refer back that no, you was on duty or was not on duty. Now you can't lose in the OP. OP is very important. You can't lose this thing. You can't. Now if the OP you lost, it means somehow there's something that you are hiding there. Yeah.
Because it contains evidence.
Yeah, the evidence is there.
Because actually what actually occurred, the complainant requires an OP to be produced. Because that was going to exonerate him in a way. Because now it was going to show so now if an OP gets missing from the management side, part of it,
no, they're hiding something. The management is hiding something. There's something that they're hiding.
I shoot my angel. I see Funa. I start phone magic. Mena pela ngibanga nje umsindo kodwa Thato.
Yeah.
Ayeza khona ezoba. Seyifuna wena ke manje ndakaba bangicela ungenelele manje ukuthi uma kanje ke what does Vukamtheshi does? Nothuso emlawo.
Yeah, look, people who watch this show, they know by now I often start with the background, history, and then why we are where we are today. You know, to know where we are, we have to look at our past, and to know where we are going, we have to look at our present, and that's how the whole thing has been going about. So the way in which I've said this the other day, the way in which the Constitution, all these laws were drafted, it was basically based on the Constitution, and most importantly, social justice. So there's this principle called transformative constitutionalism, meaning that you're trying to move from past injustices and we're trying to head towards democracy, social
New
justice,
dispensation.
meaning that inclusion. You know, I've spoken about disadvantaged people back in the days. I spoke about women, black people, and people who are disabled within the scope of employment. So basically, we have to look at people who are disadvantaged, which is black people. So in fact, there was in the case of Sidumo, the court, one of the judges emphasized the importance of job security. In fact, the court said that it is very fundamental to in our constitutional dispensation. So therefore, when we treat in matter of dismissals, we must be very careful. We must approach them with caution. Job security is very foundational in our current constitutional dispensation. So therefore, when you approach matters of dismissals, we must be very cautious. You can't just dismiss somebody without any reasonable background or any valid reason whatsoever. Okay, if somebody gets dismissed right now, we know the issue of unemployment in South Africa. It's going to severely affect that person.
It's
going to affect
40% as you speak.
Can you imagine? So if a person gets dismissed right now, it's going to directly affect the right to human dignity. Imagine you're unemployed, like the guy who was crying, who put Stole, was literally crying. You know, it affects human dignity, your self-worth as a person, your self-esteem. Imagine you can't afford basic things like toiletry, you can't afford to buy food, you can't do anything. It's going to affect your dignity and self-worth as a person. So hence we have to look at these human rights, and I like talking about human rights, the Constitution, before getting into the crux of the matter. Okay, so when we're looking at the issue of Ustole, so when it comes to matters of dismissals, there's two parts. There's substantive unfairness, and then there's procedural unfairness. It can be fair, it can be unfair. So
unpaid one substantive, we should think.
Yeah, I'm just gonna break it down for you. So you guys spoke about the fact that Stoller was dismissed. So the biggest question that comes now is that, was he aware of the fact that he was not supposed to exchange shifts with his co-workers? You know, I mean, if it's part of the company's policy, as far as I had the case, we had like a broker, I think it was the insourcing company, something like that. So how this thing would work, in fact, it was stated by the court that whenever there's an issue or anything when it comes to insourcing, so the employee is the employee for both the TES company and the client. So the employee is working for both people. So definitely when you're working, you must they'll give you a policy that, you know, these are the laws of the company, these are the policies, and then the employee must be aware of the existence of those rules or policies. If the person is not aware, then they are now dismissed on something they were not aware of, then the dismissal is substantively unfair. Yeah, that's a substantive part. I'm gonna touch base on it in depth. Then again, we've got procedural unfairness, meaning that the manner in which the whole thing was carried out, was it unfair, was it fair or not? So one of the things that we look into when it comes to procedural fairness is the fact that, was the employee given reasonable time to look at the charge sheet? Was the employee able to appoint a legal representative, like a trade union member, whatever the case may be? You know, did the employee understand the language which was used during the proceedings? As you've mentioned, the clip we just watched just now. Yeah, those are some of the features we have to look at. So if a dismissal is substantively unfair, so the remedies or recourse, would be reinstatement. So meaning that you're putting back to your previous position. Reinstatement. So just to jump into the issue of procedural fairness. So first things first, is I don't know if I heard correctly, but the guy was served with a charge sheet, I don't know, on the day, something like that.
That's during the time of the hearing.
Yeah, I think he was
given to sign it.
Exactly, yeah. I think the signing issue could be the charge sheet. That's my take on that one. So an employee must be given a reasonable time to look at the charge sheet, and then appoint a representative, a co-employee, like a trade union member, whatever the case may be. And then the whole thing must take place. Okay.
When you sign the charge sheet, you're not agreeing to what is containing the, but you just acknowledge.
No, definitely. You're not agreeing to the charges, but it's just you acknowledging that you've received what you've been charged with. It's just you acknowledging that you have the charge sheet, you're aware of them, then you can then appoint a representative and plan your defense.
Now the guy, after signing that, a day or 2 days later, a certain Mr. De Beer go to his own place of abode and demands the uniform, and then to say, because now the guy asked, what am I signing for here? He was told to say, no, you know what, we just want to preserve your job here. You must just cooperate with us. Now that was a false pretense, according to my analysis, because now a document here is then sign it, and then I'm asking, why am I signing for this one? Then I'm told, no, just the seconds of and then I'm dismissed. So do they make you to sign a charge sheet if you say this is a charge sheet, and then they're dismissed?
Well, that's weird. I think we should hear from Mrs. to illustrate exactly what he signed, because I don't think any of us are aware of that. But I think it could have been a charge sheet. It could have been something else. I don't think he was getting dismissed, because after that there was a disciplinary hearing, and then everything was done appropriate, whatever the case may be. But I think we should find out from. I think he could have signed a charge sheet or something. I don't think it was a dismissal or any termination whatsoever. I don't think so. But just to continue with the issue of procedural fairness, second point I raised is the fact that now everything was discussed in Tsonga, a different language.
It's Chivenda.
Yes. It's Chivenda. Yeah, and he could was told, I think as far as I heard, he's Zulu or
typical one.
And you could not understand it. That is so procedurally unfair. Okay, so we have this principle called the audio alteram petem in law. So meaning
that's a legal jargon, eh?
It's a Latin term. Latin.
But that's legal jargon.
Yeah, basically. If you want to look smart, amongst people, just throw Latin word. People are going to think that you look smart. But anyway, we have this principle called the audio alteram petem. So meaning that both sides of the story must be heard. Understand?
Equally so.
Equally. So meaning that both sides must be afforded an opportunity to bring their witnesses to produce evidence. I don't think this happened in this particular case. In fact, Stoller requested that, just to touch base on this very important point. So what was the other guy's name? Dembe, yes, because he exchanged shifts with Dembe.
Yes.
So Dembe was a very important witness in this case.
And he was not meant to be available by these two supervisors.
So Sitole wanted to bring those witnesses forth because you've got a right to bring evidence and then to call witnesses, but he was not allowed to call the witness. So his case was sort of affected, or he was prejudiced in some way, in the sense that now his case was not properly heard. Hence, I think it definitely contravenes the principle of the audio alteram petem that both sides must be heard. He was not given enough chance or enough opportunity. It was so procedurally unfair. Let me just make an example. Let's say you say that I stole your cell phone, okay? I'm just drawing a hypothetical example. You say I stole your cell phone, and I say I did not steal your cell phone. There's two disputing facts in that regard. And then Ubaba was there at the time the incident happened. So when you want to lead evidence, definitely this witness is very important because he was there. So by denying you an opportunity to bring this person forth, it's just procedurally unfair. So just drawing the whole thing, just summing up the whole case, there was both substantive unfairness and procedural unfairness. Mrs. Toller was dismissed unfairly. The whole thing, especially when looking at the issue of consistency, the rule was not applied consistently across all employees, even the supervisor, because he was involved in the whole thing. In fact, the supervisor agreed or consented to the whole thing. So 3 people were supposed to be investigated, but only 1 person was investigated, which points to the issue of consistency. There was substantive unfairness and there was procedural unfairness. Mr. Stoller deserves to be reinstated and deserves compensation with back pay. That's my analysis.
Yeah. Before I keep on, hey, my viewers, before Mr. Modise and Noguti Ashai performs the there's a question that Thato, taking into consideration that the guy is 5 years out of work. Are there no like periods of lapses in terms of taking the matter back to the labor court and then reinstating the guy back to work? Stuff like that.
Good question. I haven't spoken to I haven't met him in person. So here's the thing. Once I've spoken about this in the previous episode. So if a person gets dismissed, so the first thing is CCMA. That's the first like the starting point would be the CCMA. You've got like 90 days period.
Which is long lapsed.
If that 90 days period is lapsed, that's a serious problem. It's gonna be a bit challenging. But then once you've reported the matter to the CCMA, you've got 90 days to do that. And once you've done that, then you can basically proceed with your case. But if the 90-day period has lapsed, you can't, because think about it. You want to lead evidence 5 years later. Probably that supervisor does not work there anymore. Even the structure of the company has changed. Some people died. You see, it's going to prejudice the case now. Hence, we have this period of this time frames to say that should anything happen, you must bring a matter within this period of time, so that other party does not get prejudice in presenting evidence.
Are there no other avenues? Because now it seems, if I'm listening to you, Mr. Sola won't be reinstated because of the time frame.
Yeah, it's a bit late. Yeah, I know it's a bit late. Unless if we approach civil courts, the high courts, they can in fact deal with also labor matters, but it was supposed to be the CCMA. That's the starting point. It's going to be very challenging, because litigation is expensive. It's very expensive. It's important to utilize the system of the CCMA. And another thing I wanted to mention, there's something I forgot to mention, something very important. So if I heard correctly, the other guy what's his name, Tembe, right?
Tembe,
the guy who he exchanged shift with. He wanted to attend a funeral of a family member. I think that was the case. I think Tembe was supposed to take a family responsibility leave. There is that leave that I'm not going to be available during this time. Take a leave. If that leave, it had lapsed, then you can make use of annual leave. I think that was the best route. Unlike exchanging shifts now, it's going to create massive problem. So
I'm a bit aggrieved here, and then my heart is sore here, because now it seems Mr. Story cannot get justice, and yet we are here to people to get justice. Are there no other avenues that could be explored? Because now the CCMA period has just actually lapsed, the 90 days part of it, and now the guy, if you're watching that program online, and there's Tuso Yamulao with his agents, stuff like that, can't you, like, we use whatever resources? I mean, I've just said litigation is expensive. That means the guy's lost it.
You've lost, unless, of course, our courts are open, Section 34, access to justice, access to courts, litigation, it is expensive. Maybe you can make use of civil courts. But the CCMA route, it was the best option, in my opinion.
I think we should, the civil route is expensive, as you said.
Yeah, it is expensive. And another thing I wanted to touch base on is the fact that, me, Kevin, like when I come here to this show, I try to be neutral as much as possible. I don't pick sides. I would listen to your facts and then look at the law and then apply the law to the facts. I try to be neutral as much as possible. But just how Mr. Stola was crying, his emotions, you could feel that he's feeling the pits of injustice. It's been hard down the guy. It's really sad. But that's just basically that.
Give me hope. I want us to help this guy. Give me some certain avenues that we could explore, my brother. So, I mean, if justice should be served here.
That it should be. No, definitely, 100%. So the best route would be civil courts. We can try and look at civil courts, high courts, and so forth. Civil courts, basically.
Therefore, that's what we're going to be doing. And
Yeah,
Good.
definitely.
Before I give Mr. Modise,
Yeah, no.
do you want to say something before I give
Yeah.
Just before you close, unless if Mr. Setole has a valid reason as to why he came late to the CCMA why he actually missed the 90-day period. If you can come with a proper reason why he's late, we can actually condone the matter to say, well, even though we are late, we can actually condone it, because of X, Y, Z, but it must be on a reasonable basis. It can't be it can't be on a random reason or a lousy excuse. Of course, we must rely on something very solid.
I think we should also look at the extenuating circumstances that we take in practice that actually made him not to go to the CCMA, because by the look of things, the guy's psychological was affected.
Yeah, but courts are very strict when you apply for a condonation. They're very strict.
What are they looking for?
A proper reason. Let me just make a silly example, like, were you sick? Can you bring us a sick note, a medical certificate from a medical practitioner, something solid, not that you were, it can't be, although, each matter is determined on its own merit, so I can't say this wouldn't be accepted, because case number A is different to case number B. The circumstances are different, so therefore you can't treat cases the same.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be a lousy reason, but then the court can still take it based on the circumstances of that particular case. The court could look at the totality of facts in coming to that conclusion.
All right. Will you then agree with me finally to say, now, I expect to and look at other avenues.
Yeah.
Would you agree with me there?
Yeah, 100%.
Because that's what I want you to promise our viewers out there. Hey, there is hope out there. But please,
No, into even okay, I heard everything that Thato said. Somehow rules from the company but those are the basic things as a security. Even can go to Devon, you can go to as a security, you know that you don't change no mood without reporting in the office. That one is it's a standard thing. But what I will advise to our security too, as they know that to OP, there's a rules about as a security. No, in terms of I'm viewers way to or one like as buyers OP occurrence book. When you read there, you tell as a security sebenza kanjani. Now when you tell to sebenza kanjani. Now, and as usekolweni is a security, you know rules of security to sebenza kanjani. You must not do something that is not required. Because no man ngasuka you sebenza kumasipala. It's the same to umthetho obekiwe ku security. Yabona nje ufana nje lento angayenza ukuthi nje ama-security they like to take chances. I don't want to lie, they like to take chances. Lana bebathatha ama-chance. They know about this. Noma okay ngizwe libuhlungu ngoba it's painful mase ungasekho ukudla ungenayo endlini. Uyabona ngizwe libuhlungu lo but he knows any security if wenza certificate unless if mhlambe the certificate usithenge somewhere but if usenza certificate you know that ukuthi ufanele uyenzeni as a security. Yabo uthi nje sesokubhlungu nje manje ngoba usikaqoshiwe but ama security they like to take chances. That's what I will tell you. I'll be honest truth to you. If lento lengabe akwenzanga into kuyenze ngakhona ibeka lendela umthetho we-security ngaba kekho kule situation akuyo but let's hope abantu fana nabo Thato kanti they will help him ukuthi
uvuka umtheshi
uvuka umtheshi izonceda kakhulu uvuka umtheshi ukuthi balunge but I'm advising that a lot ukuthi uma security bafethu please take umsebenzi wakho seriously. Don't take umsebenzi just for granted. Ungajwayeli umsebenzi masosebenza. Take umsebenzi ngathi it's a new thing every time. Uzokhona ukuthi uzihlala isikhathi eside. That's why mawukhumbula isikhathi sasabo mantshingilana. Abo babethu bemamamela umthetho bewasho ngakhona noma idayi bathi i-security owner yecompany mayiphuma ukuthi ungangeni umuntu la. Uyithatha kanjalo. And noma usobuya wena njenge owner security uyabuyela anyeka kuvulele. It's like that. Manje ngoba sibaza ama rights too much. If they wanted to do wrong things unnecessary, into sibulala yama rights. Uyabona, but as a security, security is very dangerous. Security is very dangerous. It's holding a life is abantu.
Something. I'm sorry for to disturb you. Just a quick question, like, what's the rationale behind the rule of people not being allowed to exchange shift? Why? Like, what's the rationale behind?
Wabona ukuthi into utama shift not each shift ya change but not ukuthi thina sichangeisane ngelanga lami lokungena.
Yeah. So what's the reason?
Yeah, because if ungachange asithi manje uyachange now Thato. Now mina e-office ngiyazi ukuthi kungene wena.
Yeah.
After kwenzakala ukuthi kuba ne accident.
Okay.
Uyalimala. Emsebenzini bazungene mina. But wena manje ulapha emsebenzini. Uyabona ukuthi it's risky.
Okay.
Now how are we going to encounter on that kusasa masukuza abo beginning council ukuza wonke labantu bomthetho lapha bazovela sibavele it's obvious but they will hit the company. Mina ngiyazi ukuthi bungangenana mina. Uyabona man it's very dangerous manje. It's very dangerous.
Okay.
That's why fanele ungena umuntu lo fanele ungena yena kuphela lapha.
All right. Siyabhala lapha umzansi. Siyabhala lapha. Okumnandi nje ngikwazi. Thank you gentlemen. Ukuthi now sizwile ukuthi 90 days ishayile. Sizwile ukuthi mhlambe the approach to the civil courts nakhona uthusamulawo okubaba lavuka mtheshi. Usazwecubungula le ndaba. South Africans. Uvuka mtheshi. It's a national show. Ngishilo futhi ngathi from Cape to Messina, rural urban. You understand? So what? This, I repeat this one. There is no show, even on national television, on all the channels. You'll never find a show that deals specifically with labor-related matters. You're also an educational, channel whereby we'll be having experts to educate you on labor-related matters. So I am expecting each and every worker and ex-workers about my problems. This is your channel. Press that one, share it, and comment. Bye-bye.